The world always seems quieter right before something changes. Mia hadn't planned to stay in the library past midnight, but that's when she saw him, Evan, seated across from her, headphones in, eyes flicking between her and the pages of a psychology textbook. The silence between them felt electric, like two stories brushing shoulders for the first time. When their eyes met, his smile looked accidental, but the way he held it, too steady, too aware, hinted at intent. She didn't know that behind that gentle look he was studying her. Every laugh, every pause, every uncertain glance was a note in his invisible journal. That night, something began that felt like love, but was already a lie waiting to unfold. Curiosity questions. Why does his attention feel rehearsed? What happens when love is built from observation instead of emotion? How do you fall for someone who's already taking notes on your heart? The next morning, Mia kept replaying their accidental touch in her head, like a secret only she remembered. In the campus courtyard, sunlight scattered through the trees, and her heart raced every time she imagined seeing him again. Love in its earliest form always feels like discovery. But for her, it was data waiting to be gathered. Evan appeared again near the psychology building, pretending it was coincidence. His smile was disarming, practiced, the kind that invites trust. Yet, as he asked her about her favorite authors, his phone, face down on the table, blinked with a red recording light. Hours passed like minutes. For the first time in a long time, Mia felt seen. Every word she said seemed to matter. But in Evan's mind, the clock was ticking, every laugh another variable, every glance another note. What felt like magic to her was methodology to him. That night, back in her dorm, Mia replayed his words in her mind. "You're different." She smiled at her reflection, unaware that those same words sat in Evan's digital notes, tagged under positive reinforcement response. Line between connection and control had already begun to blur. Days blurred into a rhythm. Study sessions, coffee runs, soft laughter spilling into the late hours. Mia began to trust Evan with pieces of her she never shared with anyone. He listened with the focus of someone who cared, but inside, he was documenting reactions, tone, and pauses. What she thought was love was a data set disguised as affection. The cruel beauty of it was, even Evan couldn't tell when the experiment stopped feeling like science. In the campus cafe, their jokes became secrets. Their secrets became habits. Evan started recording their conversations under the guise of memory studies, convincing her it was part of his project. Mia, trusting him completely, even helped him take notes. Unaware she was the subject, not the assistant. Evening rain softened the world outside the dorms. Evan texted her. "Can I come over?" "Just to talk." She said yes, not realizing how perfectly she fit his prediction model. Openness increases with isolation, but when she opened the door and saw him soaked, shivering and smiling sheepishly, love didn't look like an equation. It looked like humanity. They sat side by side, wrapped in a blanket, sharing stories that sounded like promises. Evan forgot for a moment why he started. When she laughed and leaned into him, his chest tightened with something unmeasured, something real. But the recorder in his pocket blinked quietly, reminding him that love wasn't supposed to interfere with results. When he left that night, Mia stood by the window, watching raindrops streak down the glass. Her heart felt full, unaware that she'd been categorized. Stage 3, emotional dependency. Somewhere in Evan's files, her laughter was a waveform, her affection a number. Yet she believed every moment was real. And maybe, in his own confused way, so did he. Lena always noticed things Mia didn't. The way Evan's phone stayed face down, the questions he asked like he was checking boxes, not connecting dots. Friendship teaches you to sense danger long before it arrives. When Mia told her about the recordings, Lena's smile faded, not from jealousy, but recognition. She'd heard rumors about Evan's project. Lena waited until Mia was alone. "He's not who you think he is," she said quietly, the words almost trembling. But Maya's defenses were strong. "When you're in love, logic sounds like envy." She brushed it off with a soft laugh. But Lena's eyes told her a truth she wasn't ready to face. Mia started noticing it too. How Evan always steered conversations toward emotion. How his questions grew strangely specific. When do you feel most alone? Or what makes you trust someone? Each one felt personal but rehearsed. Every moment of tenderness now came with a whisper of doubt she couldn't silence. That night, Mia texted Lena. "You were right. Something feels off." She stared at the message for minutes before hitting send. On the other side of campus, Evan was reviewing audio files. Her voice or laughter cataloged with timestamps. The sound that once filled him with warmth now felt like guilt, echoing through headphones. By the end of the week, the air between them changed. Their laughter felt forced. The silences lingered longer. When Evan reached for her hand, she didn't pull away, but she didn't feel warmth either. Love had become something she had to remember, not something she felt. The truth always hides in small details. A misplaced file name, a password left in haste. Mia wasn't looking for secrets that night. She just wanted to borrow Evan's laptop to print an essay. But when the folder appeared, emotional conditioning study, curiosity felt like gravity. She clicked once, then twice, and suddenly, her world rearranged itself. There she was. Every message, every word, every laugh. Categorized, time-stamped, analyzed. Love, reduced to metrics. At first, she thought it was a mistake, some class project, a misunderstanding. But the deeper she went, the colder it became. Transcripts of their chats, voice memos of her confessions, even photos of her, annotated like research subjects. Each note dissected her emotions with surgical detachment. The person she loved had been writing her like a report. Footsteps echoed in the hallway. Evan returning. Panic rushed through her veins. She minimized the files and shut the laptop, pretending to be calm. When he walked in, his smile felt poisonous, too casual. For the first time, she saw calculation behind his warmth. Every heartbeat in her chest whispered, "Don't let him know you know." Back in her room, Mia's breathing was uneven. The screen burned in her memory. Her name beside experimental subject. She paced, clutching her phone, typing and deleting messages she'd never send. "Why me?" she whispered into the quiet. But there was no answer. Just the realization that love, to him, had been nothing but data. The next day, she walked past him in the courtyard without a word. He called her name. Confusion on his face, but she didn't stop. She didn't owe him her pain. Every step away from him felt like shedding a layer of illusion. But deep down, she knew. The story wasn't over. Not until he answered for what he'd done. Days passed like static in Maya's mind. She replayed his voice. Every "I care about you." Every moment that now sounded rehearsed. But grief eventually hardens into resolve. She decided to face him, not as the girl he observed, but as the woman he underestimated. The psychology lab was empty that evening. The perfect place for truth to echo. When she said his name, he turned. Surprise flickered into fear. "You studied me," she said quietly, words trembling but certain. Evan tried to explain, voice cracking under guilt. "It started as research, but then..." She cut him off. "But then you lied." The silence after that felt heavier than shouting, Evan confessed. He needed real emotional data for his final thesis. The project analyzed how affection could influence decision-making. "But I fell for you," he whispered, almost pleading. Maya's eyes burned. "You can't fall for someone you're dissecting." The words hung in the sterile air like glass shards. He reached for her hand, but she stepped back. "You turned my heart into homework," she said. Her voice was steady now, stripped of tremor, filled instead with clarity. For the first time, Evan looked small. Not a manipulator. Just a boy, trapped inside his own experiment. The data had consumed the humanity he once tried to measure. As she walked away, his voice broke behind her. "Mia, please." She didn't turn around. Some truths don't deserve closure. Outside, the evening rain returned, soft and relentless. For the first time, she let it fall on her face without flinching. The storm washed away what was left of his experiment and what was left of her illusion. After the confrontation, campus life felt unfamiliar, like walking through a movie she no longer believed in. Every place that once carried warmth now echoed with betrayal. Mia didn't delete their photos, not yet. She wanted to remember what manipulation looked like when it wore affection's mask. Healing doesn't start with forgetting. It starts with seeing clearly. Lena was waiting in their usual cafe spot, 2 cups of coffee on the table. When Mia arrived, Lena didn't ask what happened. She already knew. Some friendships don't need explanations, only presence. For the first time, Mia let herself cry without apology. More de me, to teams, Mistiano Martin mentioned bizarre. Without apology, Evan tried to reach out. Texts, emails, even a letter slipped under her door. But every word felt like residue, an attempt to rewrite the narrative. She didn't reply. Some stories lose their meaning when you stop reading them. For Mia, silence became her protest. Time passed, and Mia began to rebuild small parts of herself. Study sessions with Lena replaced late-night texts. The laughter returned, softer but real. She started writing. Not for grades, but for closure. Her words became her data, her healing, her experiment. Across campus, Evan sat in the same library where it all began, staring at an empty chair across from him. His experiment was complete, but the result was unbearable. He'd proven how easy it was to create affection, and how impossible it was to earn forgiveness. Mia had become the one variable he could never predict. Strength after betrayal. Months passed, and the ache softened into understanding. Mia realized healing wasn't about erasing pain, but reclaiming her story from the person who tried to own it. When a campus podcast called Confessions You Never Hear invited students to share personal stories, she said yes, not for revenge, but for release. The mic became her mirror, the truth her freedom. She spoke about him without saying his name. The boy who studied emotions until he forgot how to feel them. She described how manipulation can look like love, and how trust can turn into a weapon in the wrong hands. But she didn't speak with bitterness. She spoke with clarity. Every word carried the weight of what she survived, and the strength of who she'd become. Somewhere across campus, Evan listened. The recording played through his earbuds, each word a quiet verdict. He didn't cry, he just sat there, realizing he'd become the villain in someone else's confession. For the first time, he understood the pain his study could never quantify. Regret doesn't graph, it lingers. Mia ended her story with a quiet breath. He taught me what it means to be observed, she said, but I learned how to see. Her words hung in the air, gentle and resolute. The silence afterward felt sacred, not empty, but full of release. When she stepped outside, dawn was breaking over campus. The sky glowed with pale pink and silver light. For the first time, Mia felt free. Not from him, but from the version of herself that needed his approval. She smiled softly, the wind brushing through her hair, the morning light spilling over her like forgiveness. Some stories end in heartbreak. Hers ended in awakening.